Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today we will be painting this starry night with sunset and the house, some bushes, fence in the foreground, and we will be using only a couple of colors. I think you will love it, enjoy it. You should definitely try it. It's quite simple and great practice for beginners. So let's get to it. And for this painting, I will be using a masking marker, flat number 22 brush, number 12 brush, round number 12 brush, round smaller number 4 brush, some detail brush, then again brush for sprinkling some stars, cadmium yellow medium, Mother Lake red light, ultramarine, rose sienna, neutral black, indigo, and white gouache. I'm starting off with masking fluid and I'm masking some windows on my house. And if you don't have a masking fluid or masking marker, it doesn't matter. Just leave that step for later on, and instead of masking marker, you will just use some white gouache. Next thing I'm doing is prevetting the entire paper, and then with cadmium yellow medium I'm painting in the sunset, first starting off in the middle of my painting going downwards, and I added just a little bit of rose sienna to my painting to paint in the lower part of the sky, and right now I'm adding just a little bit of Mother Lake red light to get this orangey color and painting in upwards. Also using just Mother Lake red light, painting even more upwards, adding some ultramarine, and later on adding even more ultramarine because I do want the sunset to be different in its colors, to look a little bit more natural. Afterwards, I left the paint to dry completely and then moved on to my, well, I don't think that's a second layer, but just to paint in the darkest part of the sky. And because the paint started to dry while I was painting the sunset, and also I did not want those colors to mix, so that is the reason why I left it to dry completely and then later on added that darkest color. And that darkest color is actually mix of neutral black, some ultramarine, and some Mother Lake red light. I also added a little bit of indigo in it. And after I finished with the larger brush, adding those larger clouds, I'm using a smaller round brush to paint in some smaller clouds. Since my paint bled too much, I did not want those lines, from the bleeds, so I decided to pick up the paint while it was still wet. I decided to pick it up with this larger round brush and just going between the clouds and picking up the paint. Afterwards, again, I left it to dry completely and then moved on to painting that silhouette of the house and the ground. So for that, I'm using the same mix of colors and this larger round brush. If you did not have masking marker or masking fluid to mask the windows, doesn't matter. Just paint in the entire surface. As I said, later on, we will, instead of that, rubbing off masking marker, you will add just a little bit of white gouache to paint in those windows. I decided to add some objects and some bushes on the ground, so I'm just painting in those. You can just paint maybe some trees if you like to, or any other silhouette that you would like here to be. You don't have to paint, the same bushes or same objects as I am. Also, if you don't have a detail brush, you can use here just any round brush. If it has a pointy tip, it will work just fine. If it's good for your line work and you use it for painting lines, well, just use that brush. And after the paint completely dried, I'm adding a little bit more details to my house. And also I will be adding a second layer because I do want it to be just a little bit darker. I will also add in the second layer to the sky. So I do think those two should match. even though I decided at this point to add some stars. And for that, I'm using that brush that has very stiff bristles, and it's perfect for sprinkling stars. And if you don't have a brush like that, just use any old, maybe stiff, ruined brush, or maybe a toothbrush, and of course cleaned, to paint in those stars. And now I'm using a white gel pen to paint in some shooting stars. But even though I did that, later on I decided to add a second layer. It was too light for me, so I decided to add another one layer. So if you're satisfied with how dark your sky is, just add in those little stars, and if not, don't do that at this point. Just add another layer and then later on add the stars. As you can see here, those stars are visible here and there, but I will have to of course add more stars. So maybe skip this step if you're not satisfied with how dark your sky is. Also, I rubbed off that masking marker and then added with that mix I used for the sky, with that red mix, purple pinkish mix, added in the windows. So again, when I added second layer to the sky, my silhouettes were too light, so I added in one more layer to that. And finally, I was satisfied with how dark my sky was, so I've painted in some stars. And looking right now at this video, it just looks to me that there are a lot less stars visible here than there are actually. So I did paint a lot of stars, so just add a lot of those. And with that, I'm finished with this painting and of course this video. Thank you a lot, guys, for watching, for all your support. I really do appreciate that a lot. And if you do like this video, please hit the like button, share it, comment. And if you haven't still, please subscribe to my channel. That would also mean a lot to me. And maybe consider joining. That is the button next to the subscribe button. So click on that, see what's offered, and decide whether you want to join my channel. And without further ado, I hope I'll see you next time. Bye!